How's it going, guys? Today I'm going to be doing a full walkthrough on how to make an AI voice receptionist for your local roofing business. I'm just going to be doing a basic setup. This can get really advanced, pretty much as advanced as you want it to get. I'm going to be covering most of the base level things, just, basic things you need to know. That way you're not left stranded in the year 2025 with all this new AI stuff going on. So let's just jump right into it. So first thing you're obviously going to need to do is make a VAPI account. We're going to be using VAPI AI for this one. So now there's tons of AI receptionist services out there. This is just one of the better ones in my opinion. This is one of the really simple ones to set up. It's pretty easy to integrate your stuff into. So make an account, and once you do that, you should be on a page like this. I think it might actually create an assistant for you automatically. Correct me if I'm wrong, but pretty much all you're going to do is create an assistant. You're just going to click that button right there. And then the best one, I mean, it honestly doesn't matter that much which one you choose. For time's sake, we're just going to choose the appointment scheduler one. You're going to create the assistant. It'll load, and you'll be faced with this. So the dashboard can kind of look a little confusing at first. There's a lot going on here, and we'll get into most of it. So this is just the model page itself. So what model it's actually running on, what model it's processing the conversations on, and yeah, so OpenAI works just fine for these voice receptionists. It's pretty smart, it's pretty fast, so you can just go through this. Most of this stuff that it already has set up is pretty good. So the biggest thing when it comes to a voice receptionist is you need to make sure you have a fantastic prompt. This is pretty much where you're going to be most of the time. So the prompt is always the biggest thing. So the system prompt is essentially the entire knowledge base, pretty much entirely what the voice receptionist is going to be based off of. This is where you're going to tell it what to do, how to do it, and when it should be doing these certain things. It's going to show you, or this is where you're going to tell it how the conversation should flow. This is where you're going to set its parameters kind of. So you're going to want to make sure you have a really good system prompt. So probably the easiest and most efficient way for you to make a system prompt for one of these receptionists is to go into ChatGPT, tell it that you're making a AI receptionist on VAPI, and ask it every single thing it needs from you in order to generate the best system prompt for, your AI receptionist. And it'll ask you for, the business name, the business type, the information, it'll just ask you a list of information. So fill all of that out and it'll give you a pretty good system prompt. So I already have one here that I made a while ago. We're going to be doing this for a roofing business, as I said. So you're just going to replace that. So there's a few key things you really need to have here. And this is something that not a lot of people talk about. So probably the first and absolutely most important thing, obviously you need to have your name, you need to have all the just basic knowledge about the business. It needs to know what it's doing. But one of the most important things, if this is going to be scheduling appointments for your business, you need to have this piece right here. So what is this? This is essentially the snippet that's going to tell this AI what day it is, what time it is, what month, year, etc. Now, the AI does not know this automatically. I mean, when I first started out, I was testing these callers and they had no idea. They thought it was months behind or years off. Like, it's not accurate. And even if it is accurate, it bases it off of UTC. So most likely you're not in UTC time zone. So this is what you're going to need. I can paste this in the description below if you like. So you're just going to switch this part out for the actual time zone that you're in. So that's all you'll do there. So most of the time the prompt is going to be a quick overview of what it actually does. You'll want to paste this in, and then it'll give the company context. That's something you definitely want to have. Call flow overview. This is just the flow of the conversation, what it's going to, from start to finish, what it's going to look like. So you'll want to have that in there. It'll go in depth on the step by step, pretty self-explanatory in my opinion. And then here is another thing that is really important that you want to have, this section right here that I've highlighted. So essentially what this does is it makes sure that it doesn't double book appointments. Now this can of course sometimes happen still, but this is just an extra measure in place to make sure it doesn't happen, because a lot of the times when it pulls the API request while it's on the call, it'll do it in real time. So there's a couple workarounds for this. With this model itself, you can integrate it into make.com and have the automation do it by pulling the transcript of the call. But that's a pretty advanced thing to set up. And, that's something we can do. My company, we can do that for you if you think that's something you'd be interested in. That'll be in the link down below. But this, for this purpose, this will work just fine. So essentially what this does is it verifies that you're not going to double book appointments until it has, or it's not going to book an appointment until it has all the required information, and it's verified that this is the exact date and time that it's going to book it at. Because like I said, since it's doing it in real time, what can happen sometimes is while it's on the call with the customer could say, oh, I'd like it at 11:30 a.m. tomorrow, for example. And then, it continues with the conversation, and then the customer says, oh, wait, actually, I have an appointment tomorrow at 11:30. I would like to reschedule it to 2 p.m. that day instead. Well, what will happen is it'll book two appointments, and that'll just kind of confuse things, and it'll book that appointment, and now you won't have that appointment open in your calendar. It just can lead to a bunch of unnecessary problems if you don't add this extra measure. So next thing, book the appointment. It'll book the appointment. We're going to use Google Calendar for this example because it's just really simple to set up. Like I said, what we actually do is we can set up a full automation for you. It will send you emails and text notifications when you get new clients in or new leads, for example. It can book it into 90% of the CRMs that you guys are using. And in most cases, what we'd actually do is integrate you into our CRM. It just makes it a lot simpler to integrate all of these things into. Everything is held all in one place, all your revenues, all your AI callers, all your tools, your websites, funnels, etc. It's all just in one place, and we would do that all for you. But for the sake of this video, we're just going to be using Google Calendar because it's really simple to set up with this. So once you have your prompt set up, what you're going to want to do is go into this voice tab right here. And this is where you're going to choose the voice for your AI receptionist. So this is the provider section. This is where you're going to choose which AI provider you want to use for your voice. I mean, obviously there's a bunch of different options here. There's a ton of them. I found that 11 Labs is probably the best one in my personal experience. You can do whatever one you choose. You can go through every single option here if you want to, but 11 Labs is really good. It has really good conversation skills. It has really good vocal pausing, etc. You'll hear that later on. So the model is just fine. The rest of it, you don't really need to do anything with that unless you really want to go deep into it. And so you can do that. Okay, so the next thing you need to have in place for this example is you go here into the more section and go to integrations. And then you will scroll all the way down. It's all the way down here, like middle of the page or something. Yeah, right here. So Google Calendar. Now there's all of these, and you don't really have to worry about them for this example unless you use them, obviously, but you're going to want to connect your Google Calendar if you're using Google Calendar for this example. So connect your Google account, make sure that all the permissions are checked off, and then come back into here, and you're going to want to go to tools. This is where we're going to set up the actual API request. So essentially what this is going to do is this is going to check your calendar and make sure you have open slots for the assistant to book an appointment into your calendar. And then it's actually going to be able to book the appointment into your calendar. So what you'll do is you're going to create a tool. You're going to click Google Calendar for this example, and then you're going to click check availability. So pretty much that's all you need to do for this one. I mean, you can put in the calendar ID if you have multiple Google calendars, but if not, it's just going to default to your regular calendar. So you can put the time zone in. So we're going to do America, Denver, because that's the one I'm in. You're going to click save, and then you're going to click create again, and you're going to do create event. So the check availability one, this is just going to check the available time slots that you have. So when the customer says, I would like a roof estimate, sometime next week, it's going to check all of your available slots next week, and it's going to pick a date that's actually open. So then the calendar create tool, or the Google Calendar tool, this is going to actually create the event in your calendar. So again, you can do the same thing, enter the calendar ID and enter the time zone. You don't really have to worry about the messages or anything like that. It should be pretty good setup from the get-go. Another thing, make sure that your opening message aligns with forgot to click save here, but make sure that your opening message aligns with your system prompt. That way there's no confusion there. Obviously, this is just kind of a given, but you can set this to how you like. I just like something simple, like this is Riley. How may I help you? So then once you make a change, you're going to want to publish it, because if you don't, it will delete that. So you'll publish the changes. You can just kind of skip and publish if you want to. You can configure the structured outputs. I mean, it doesn't really do that much. Like that's more for analysis purposes, to, see your conversion rates and to see things like that. You can walk through that, be my guest, and we typically would do that for you if it's a client application, because it just gives us more data. It'll tell you the success rate, the failure rate, etc., etc. So you can walk through that yourself if you'd like, but for the sake of the video, we're just going to be doing it like this. So the next thing you're going to want to do is go into phone numbers. So you'll create a phone number and you'll walk through the steps there, and then it'll take you to this page. This is just a test number for this video. And you'll scroll down here. You don't really have to worry about this. You can name it if you want. But essentially, you're going to want to go down to inbound settings. So you're going to set the inbound phone number. You'll select the assistant that you're using. And then you'll just scroll right up to the top. Click save. And that's pretty much that. So if you're using this as an outbound caller, like say you're following up with leads, what you do is you would select your assistant here. You'd select the phone number, which would be either, just one person's number that you're setting up a call for, or you could upload a CSV file filled with all the follow-ups you need to make, and then you could schedule those calls that way. But for this example, we're just going to be doing this. So, okay, and one last thing that I completely forgot about, to be honest. You need to go over here into tools, and you need to actually connect the tools that you created. All right, so you'll go here, click select tools, and you'll just select the two that you just made. And then you'll click publish, and then we should be good. So just skip and publish. Now I've got the number pulled up here, and we will actually just go ahead and give him a call. So
thank you for calling Summit Peak Roofing and Exterior. This is Riley. How may I help you today?
Hi Riley, I'm just trying to book a estimate or an inspection for my roof. I'm trying to get it replaced.
Great, I can help you with that. Could I start by getting your full name, please?
Yeah, my name is Jacob Martinez.
Thank you, Jacob. What's the best phone number to reach you? I see your caller ID, but I want to confirm it's correct.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Do you have an email address where we can send the confirmation?
name@email.com.
Got it, Jacob. And what's the address where we'll be looking at the roof?
It'll be 123 Main Street.
Perfect, thank you. Can you briefly tell me about the roofing issue? Are you experiencing leaks, or is this just for a replacement?
Yeah, so I've been having a little bit of leaking. My shingles are starting to come up a little bit, so I'm just trying to get an estimate before the leaking gets too bad.
Thanks for letting me know, Jacob. Since there's some leaking, we'll prioritize getting you scheduled as soon as possible. What day would you ideally like us to come out? And do you prefer morning or afternoon?
Maybe Thursday morning, the 27th.
Got it. Thursday, November 27th in the morning. Let me check our availability for that date and time window. One moment. Jacob, we have availability on Thursday, November 27th at 9 a.m. Would that time work for you?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Perfect, Jacob. I booked your roof inspection for Thursday, November 27th at 9 a.m. The address I have is 123 Main Street. You'll receive a confirmation at your email, name@email.com. Is there anything else I can help you with today?
No, that'll be everything. Thank you.
You're welcome, Jacob. Thank you for calling Summit Peak Roofing and Exteriors. We look forward to helping with your roof. Have a great day.
Yep, thanks. Bye. Okay, so that's that. As you can see, it automatically booked the appointment in real time right as we were on the call. So that worked great. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. Now, one thing to note is you would probably want to include a couple more details into this. So you would want to include like the address and the callback number and things like that. Now, what my team would do for you is we would integrate this into our CRM, it would create a new contact. It would automatically book the appointment as it did here, but it would create an actual contact for you to see with the person's name, their email, their phone number, their address, everything all in one place. So you would have a list of your contacts. That way it's pretty easy to associate those to, the corresponding appointments. And we would set all of that up for you. So we also have automations that would send, 24-hour text reminders, 24-hour email reminders, etc. We would have a review automation where it sends them a text just reminding them to leave a review or something along those lines. So now obviously all of this is pretty surface level stuff. It would be way too long of a video for me to go into depth on all the automations and everything behind that. But if you're the owner of a roofing company and you think this would actually be helpful for you and your business, you can click the link down below and you can book an appointment with me and we'll just sit one-on-one, see if this could actually be a help for your business. My team also helps with client acquisition and dialing in your sales process if you need it. So we're really just trying to help you grow in the year 2025 and utilize all the systems that are out there right now, because things are advancing really quick and it's really hard to keep track of all the new things that are constantly being, pushed out into the world that can help you make more money. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and drop subscribe. And let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Let me know if you want to see a full automation breakdown to see all the behind the scenes and all the automations that I was talking about earlier. I can make that happen. And with that, I will see you guys in the next video.